Hello and welcome to TMI, Too Much Information with Moondog. And I've got a special guest tonight, and he'll be joining us shortly. But before we get started, I just wanted to plug our two sponsors we have on our show. And I want to bring up here on this slide Aura.com, which is a cybersecurity company that I use to help protect me when I'm on the web. They've got a whole suite of protective services, including spam blockers, email alerts on your finances, fraud alerts. And my favorite services they have are one, VPN, which is a virtual private network especially when you're using public Wi-Fi. But also they have a data broker removal service, which means that they will officially contact the hundreds of data brokers out there that have our personal information, and they're buying and selling it to other spam, junk mail companies and political organizations and who knows who else. But our personal information is being bought and sold daily on the daily. And that includes not just our email addresses, but potentially our phone numbers, our physical addresses. So you can get all that information wiped away from these data brokers, but you have to go through the official process. And it's kind of arduous because there's hundreds of them out there. But if you use Aura.com and just with a simple press of a button, fill out some forms, and they will automatically contact all of these data brokers and get you off of them. I got myself off of over 30 of them. And here's the thing. If you use my code that's on the screen right now, or if you type in aura.com/moondog, you can try them out for free for 14 days using that code. And during that time, you can get yourself removed off of these data brokers. So try them out. It's absolutely free. And they are a great service. And I think you'll stick with them just because they offer so many services in their very reasonable monthly fee. And our other sponsor is Mad Hat Jerky, which is a total another category in and of itself. But this young man, Matt, out of Pennsylvania, he hand makes this jerky along with his family, and it is some of the best beef jerky that I've ever had. It's super, super clean in terms of it has no artificial preservatives, nothing artificial. It's all just real high quality meat, spices, and he's got such a knack for coming up with his recipes. He developed it from a family recipe, but he's got like a dozen different flavors, including your standard. And he's got super hot flavors as well. He uses Hatch chilies and Carolina Reaper chilies if you like super hot. But he also has sweet and mild flavors. One of my favorites is Punjabi flavor, which is an Indian curry, and teriyaki, and he's currently working on a Korean barbecue flavor. So try them out. My code there on the screen. That is for 15% off. Use code Moondog. I'm out there. They are wonderful. I can't say enough. I'm a big fan. All right. So before we get into our early bird clue, I wanted to bring on our guest here, which is, here we go. John, how are you, buddy?
Good. How you doing, Tom?
Very good. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully you aren't covered with a blizzard and trapped in your home.
Yeah, we kind of got hit back to back. We got about 20 inches Sunday into Monday, and we got about 3 to 4 inches this morning. So
my goodness,
kind of slowed things down a little bit, but that's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't envy you this time of year, being back east. So yeah, I don't miss digging out digging out to get to work every day. But thank you for joining me. For everybody else who's joining us, this is John LaCourte. He's one of the co-founders of Tract Optics, and we're going to talk about Tract Optics and how he got into optics and started his company in a bit. But I wanted to bring up the clue for today, and it was picked by you. So let me bring that onto stage right now. So for those of you who don't know, I give away a prize at the end of the show. And thanks to John, actually. John, thanks for supplying the prize today.
My pleasure. Glad to do it.
It's going to be it's a lens kit, if I'm correct.
It's what we call the Lens Pen Pro Kit. So it's a combination of a small and large lens cleaning pen, as well as a microfiber cleaning cloth and an anti-fog cloth, all in a nice little zippered case.
Awesome. So anybody on the side chat can win that today. All you have to do is put into the side chat the name of this mystery brand. I've given you a clue right there. So hopefully you'll, if those of you who are sports fans will recognize this. But if you know who this team is, put in hashtag and their name in the side chat, and the software will automatically pick up your correct answers and enter you into the drawing that we'll have at the end of the show. So that's your clue right there. If you know this team, put their name on the side chat. All right, moving on. John, I wanted to show you some of the videos that I posted this week on my various channels, and I'd like to get your thoughts on them. So the first one, I don't know if you get a chance to wander around down in the dungeon over at SHOT Show, and I mean, there's so many booths down there, but I don't know if you got a chance to see this cool little folding 22 pistol. When you're
Actually, I did not get a chance to walk the floor very much, but thanks to social media, I did see a lot of the new products, and yeah, I did see this folding firearm. So yeah, it was pretty slick.
Yeah, so I mean, you'd appreciate it as a entrepreneur, but this was created by an engineer named Bill, and he actually built it because of a friend of his who was physically assaulted, and she doesn't have a lot of hand strength, and he of course suggested getting a handgun, but she just couldn't reliably manage pulling a slide, and so he invented this folding pistol. And I posted, I actually interviewed him a few years ago, but for whatever reason, it got the pistol. A video was posted up last year by another gun tuber, and that blew up. And because I guess people were searching for videos of the pistol, my videos came up, and my old video from a few years ago just sort of blew up. But a lot of comments I got back in the comment section were criticisms about the gun, and so I thought I would bring up a lot of the questions that people would post. So I brought it directly to the inventor, Bill, on this SHOT Show, and he was kind enough to answer all the questions, or at least the top 5 or so questions that people posted, or comments that people posted. Here's one of the big questions that came up. I'll show you the video right now. These are the questions you asked about the Ounce Ultra Compact Folding Pistol. How come it's so expensive?
Well, first of all, to develop a firearm is very expensive, all the way from creating the prototypes, getting the intellectual property secured, and doing all of the testing. We did years of testing in the development of this. That's a big part of it. When you first start out, your volumes are small and you're trying to recoup some of those costs. But fundamentally, inside this gun, there's most of it is CNC machined. If you look in the U.S., the cost per hour to run a CNC is on the order of $100 to $200 an hour. There's many hours of CNC time for every single gun. So you've got that cost, plus the cost of all the materials, plus the cost of insuring it too is very high. It's just expensive. We hope over time, the response has been very good. Our customers are happy with it. We hope to be able to ramp up the volumes over time and hopefully do something with the price.
And I'm sure this is something that it's come up with your products, is pricing. I mean, everybody wants to will say, we want to buy stuff that's made in the USA, and we want to buy the top high quality. We don't want garbage, trash materials. But as soon as you start focusing on quality, and then people complain about it's too expensive, right?
Yeah, I've been in the product development side of the firearms business for going on 27 years now. And, customers, I think a lot of the time, they don't realize what goes into product development. We've got a new laser range finding binocular that's coming out. It's a 10 by 42. And we've immediately got people saying, hey, you know what about higher magnifications? Why can't you just put it in your 12.5 by 50?
Oh yeah, that's super easy, right?
Well, I mean, this product is literally 3 years in the making, building it from the ground up. So while we would love to just be able to, slide this technology into other products, it's just not that simple.
Yeah.
And to the gentleman's point in regards to the folding firearm, there's a lot of things that go into product development that the consumer never sees. He mentioned insurance.
Oh yeah.
Tooling is something that we spend a great deal of money on. So there's a lot of things that go into it that, unfortunately drive up the cost. And, as a small company, you've got to recoup those costs as soon as possible. So I totally understand what he's going through, but at the same time, I understand the desire for the consumer to have something that's as affordable as possible.
Absolutely. And, nobody wants to, I don't think to be in the defense of the inventor here, I don't think he's jacking up the prices just because he wants to, jack up the price because he can. He's doing it just because, that's how expensive it, like to your point, it does to start up a business. And I never even thought about the insurance. Like, oh my gosh, yeah, I can't even imagine how much it costs from a liability and also from the standpoint of just insuring the people who are working for you. So yeah, these big corporations, and you've worked for them, I've worked for them. Yeah, they've got staffs of lawyers, and they've got tons of resources. Yeah, they can roll out new products because they've got all that infrastructure and staffing. For a smaller company to start off, it is a big cost. And I don't think he's doing it he's pricing it just because he's greedy. It's because that's what it takes, right?
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Yeah. So I also, while I was over there, I got a chance to check out another new product, and this one I think you would appreciate as well. I stopped by the Rise Armaments. They're known for making really nice triggers, and they came out with one of the slickest new, or at least an evolution of a drop-in trigger that I've seen. And I know you're a big shooter, and I don't know if you've probably dropped in a custom trigger into your AR at some point, but anybody who has or uses a drop-in trigger knows the frustration sometimes when those pins will walk out. And there's little solutions and things you can buy, but eventually either you've got that locking pin on the outside that looks honestly a little ugly, but it works. Or if you put in the screw in kind of anti-lock, for I don't know, unless you super lock them, they eventually will work their way out. I don't know how it is, but Rise came out with a solution that I hadn't seen before, and honestly I was able to try it, and you can drop in this trigger in less than 30 seconds and install it. Yeah. So here, let me show you a little bit of let me show you the what that looks like here. Let me see if I can add that to the stage.
It's armament new for 2026. This is our slide and snap trigger. Slide and rotate the trigger in once the blade is through the lower. Compress the front pins, rotate it back, seat the trigger.
Oh my.
And it is installed.
I can see
that was
the
it.
pins are just
The pins
out.
pop out, and then you take these trigger faces, rotate them on the bottom at 90, and a magnet snaps it into place.
Oh my goodness, that is so clever.
And so just to show you guys, you can easily pull it off. And then if you're like, I prefer flat blades, we can do that too.
Okay. So we're gonna see.
And this was an
how
impromptu because I
this,
wanted to
trigger
see how
face stays on
how
here.
secure that
Okay.
was.
Yeah. He's just gonna do a little hammer.
Oh, sorry about your floor.
Yeah.
That stays on there. That's not coming off unless you want it off.
Yep.
Cool.
Shut up and take my money.
And I did end up putting a couple of divots into their floor unintentionally, but I wanted to honestly see if that little those replaceable triggers were very secure, and I was surprised they really were. I'm surprised nobody's came up with a spring-loaded anti-walk pins before, but it's a brilliant solution.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's a great idea to have those magnetic, trigger faces, just because, I've kind of been so used to using a curved trigger, and then I got a Bergara comp rifle that had a flat trigger, and it's taken me some time to get used to that flat trigger. And I shoot the guns pretty regularly, so it's kind of going back and forth from a curved trigger to a flat trigger, in a lot of the same days, and sometimes in the same, the same day we have different matches when I'm using those rifles. And so it's kind of that thing that if I could be able to just change that trigger with just a face instead of a whole new, brand new trigger, that would save a lot of money.
Yeah, so hopefully you'll get a chance to check this out. I don't know when they're going to be releasing it, but they said like Q2 or sooner, depending.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to trying one of those out myself. I almost think that it's almost too good, like a solution looking for a problem. In that, I don't think people are going to be. I mean, it's really cool that you don't have to take off your selector to put it in, but you'd have to take your selector apart anyway to take out your old trigger.
Right.
So, I don't know how often I'll be, swapping out a trigger after that. So maybe that's not such a, a need, but it's certainly overall, I thought it was a slick design, and I always appreciate that. All
Cool.
right. So that was the two videos I posted this, and Michael just posted up. Yeah, love that trigger. Yeah, it is a really cool design, and I kind of hope that they license out the design, because I'd love to see this in a lot more other trigger companies out there. I don't know if they're going to try to keep it entirely proprietary. I don't know. That's up to them for sure. And on my other channel, I stopped by the 511 booth, and they make great tactical gear and clothing, and they came out with this line of very low profile covert backpacks that look pretty much like regular backpacks, but they have some really cool features and designs that are definitely made for people who are concealed carry, or need to carry a firearm inside of the backpack. And there's a whole compartment that's very secure and with a hook and loop on the inside, so that you can have your holster or a firearm secure in it and access to it very quickly. And let me just show you the video from the visit that I had over there.
Backpack is in our low vis collection, what LV12 stands for.
Oh.
The 12 stands for 12 hours. So this bag is awesome. I've actually been carrying it around all week. First and foremost, I want to show you this ambidextrous CCW pocket right here.
Oh.
With the holster attachment on the inside.
What I like is it's totally
Nice
pass-through, so you can access
pass-through,
it from
and
either
the
side.
oversized toggle on the zipper is just a really nice touch also. There's another pocket up front, and then the LV6 waist pack will attach here if you wanted to add that on. We have a fleece-lined pocket up here for the sunglasses.
Oh, yes. No scratching on that.
No, and then there's great water bottle holders on the sides. I was able to fit my 32-ounce Yeti water bottle in there, and it has not fallen out once all week.
So I don't know if you have a need for a concealed carry backpack when you go into the city, but it's a nice looking backpack.
Cool. Yeah, honestly, I wish I got more time to walk around at SHOT Show and see a lot of these, cool things, firsthand. But, it's a crazy show. And, you had mentioned kind of the basement or the dungeon. There's a lot of smaller companies there with some really unique products that, they're too small to really market and advertise and get out, into the, mainstream for people to see them. So, there's always a lot of really cool things there that most people don't ever get to see.
Absolutely. And to answer Portia Speedster's comment, yes, this backpack has a special pocket for plates if you want to put a SAPI plate inside there. And you could also, it's separate from, or you could use the laptop pocket that they have in there, which has a Velcro strap. So again, if you need to carry a plate for protection, if you're working in an office and you just want to have put that on the front of you or whatever, if you need to evacuate, it's a good way to carry something that is protective of personal protection, but not be so obvious about it. So it's really good design overall. And we got a button. We have Hillbilly joining us. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. For those of you who are already on there, be sure to hit that like button, a thumbs up button. Go ahead and do it, as Hillbilly says. And finally, John, I've got a video from a trip that I took. I don't know if you've ever been to the town of Carmel in California.
No, can't say that I have.
It's a pretty town. It's a pretty seaside town south of San Francisco, about 3 hours south. And you may remember Clint Eastwood was mayor of the town in the 80s. And so this is my first trip there. I took my wife there for her birthday, and we found a nice little candy shop. And you may appreciate this because you're of a certain age like me who can remember these. So let me just show you this video. It's the Cottage of Sweets on the main street. Of course, they have handmade fudge. But this is what I loved. Candy cigarettes. I don't know if Mike, I pointed out to my kids and they don't know what the heck they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever they taste like chalk, but it was always fun to get those over from the ice cream man.
Yeah, if I remember, if you kind of blew on them, the powdered sugar kind of blew out like it was actual smoke coming out of it.
Oh, that was the other one. There were two kinds. There was one that I think it was gum on the inside when you
wrapped in
paper.
out.
Yeah, and this one was the one that's like a long solid Pez.
Yeah, almost like it almost was like chalk.
Yeah, right? Exactly. You could write with it.
Yeah,
on the sidewalk. So yeah, that was my trip down to Carmel. I really did enjoy that. Okay, so let me just bring up our next clue, and this is for the prize that you're offering, which is the lens pen kit. And for those of you who just joined us now, here's your clue for the mystery brand out there. This is a sports team brand, by the way, for today's episode for everybody. So this New York team is arguably the most successful in baseball, with the most World Series wins of any team, and is known as the house that Ruth built. So speaking of Ruth and candies, there's Baby Ruth candy bar. This is a bit of a segue here. So if you know who this mystery team is, put your hashtag answer on the side chat there, hashtag and the name of the team, and you will be automatically picked up for the giveaway drawing that we'll have at the end of the show. So disregard the thing at the bottom there where I'm saying about send me the email. We're just going to do a live answer. So put in your correct answer on the side chat there. And I see we got some other folks joining us. We've got J Delta, Fluffy, 10mm Jeep guy. I got Timuni. And of course, we had Porsche Speedster earlier, Michael Dunn, and we had Hillbilly. I think I got everybody. Oh, no, we got Holy Villain out there too, and Acer Sports. So thanks for joining us. And I wanted to reintroduce my guest, John LaCourte, with a co-founder of Tract Optics. And for those of you who don't know, you should definitely check them out. Part of the reason is you may not know them is they are a new optics brand, and you will not find them at your local big box Bass Pro or store, because they are a direct-to-consumer company. And I don't want to steal any of your thunder here. So, John, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into this?
Sure. So I started working for Nikon back in 1999, and I was in charge of product development from 1999 until 2014. And Nikon basically started to make some decisions to kind of get away from the hunting and shooting market, kind of a political thing. The camera side of the business was receiving a lot of hate mail about, the fact that the company, built rifle scopes. So my partner, John Allen, who worked at Nikon as well, we saw the writing on the wall that the direction that Nikon was going was to get away from hunting and shooting. So we left the company and started our own brand, and Tract Optics is it. And what we decided to do was to build a brand that was completely different than, all the other optics companies out there for the most part, in that
Mhm.
selling direct, we're cutting out the retail markup. So when you buy competitive optics at Bass Pro or Cabela's, Gander Mountain, Sportsman's Warehouse, you're paying a rather large markup for that store to basically sell that product. And that's normal retail business. However, what's happened is the markup on optics has grown and grown and grown considerably. A lot of these stores, they're not making the amount of money they used to make on firearms, on ammunition.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So they had to make it up somewhere, and where they're making it up is in accessories. Obviously, clothing is a huge markup. Optics is like a cash cow, because
Wow.
all of the big brands have kind of become slaves to these big box stores. Every time they open a new store, they want a larger amount of markup so that they can support that store. So what's happening is those brands are having to either increase price or lower the cost, the quality of the product in order to get the numbers to work. You can only absorb 3%, 4%, 2%, 3% each year for so long before something has to be done. And that's exactly what was happening at Nikon. That's exactly what's happening right now with all of the big names. I walked around the Harrisburg show. I walked around at SHOT Show and handle a lot of competitive products. And, it's sad to see that the high quality that some of these brands once, had a reputation for is slowly drifting away because the quality is just not there anymore.
Oh, so they're you can definitely see it, but that they're cutting corners to try to keep the pricing out there. And I don't want to get too political out here, but I'm certainly with the tariffs that were imposed recently, it's been a challenge for a lot of companies. I don't know how much it's affected you, but I'm sure it has.
Yeah, it's affecting every company. Obviously the companies having products made in China are affected more than, the companies having products made in Japan. That's where the vast majority of our products are made. We also feel that the Japanese made product is of a higher quality. I visited factories all over the world, and when you could walk into a factory and see the diligence that goes into Japanese manufacturing,
Oh yeah.
that's really why we decided to go that route. It's a higher cost to produce, but the quality control goes a long way. And it's allowed us to build a very high quality product that when you compare it spec for spec with our competitors, you're going to spend hundreds of dollars more with those competitive companies to get that same level of quality.
Yeah. One of the things that, as a totally side note here, one of the first jobs I ever had was working at Kmart in the sporting goods department, and I don't know if they still had that. They must have stopped the policy, but at some point, one of the managers showed me an inventory sheet. And of course, it was one of my first tasks as a new employee was to do inventory, which is a thankless job, right? To go into the back room and go through the big list, make sure that all the boxes are there. But on the inventory list was the list of the price that Kmart paid for the products, and I was just shocked at how much they marked up things, especially like you said, accessories, and like just the. What struck me first was the price difference with fishing rods, and that they were selling. I saw the price on the list was like $7 or $12, and they were selling it for $30, $35. I'm like, wow, that's a big difference. But yeah, these stores, even Kmart that eventually went out of business, they still had to drive up a margin.
Yeah,
Yes,
these big stores, they have a lot of overhead. That's the thing that kind of again separates us. We keep our expenses very, very low. We share a warehouse with another hunting related company.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, John and I both work out of home offices, so we don't have to pay rent, for an office, and we're able to keep our costs very low. And that's what allows us to sell our products really for a fraction of the cost of our competitors with similar features. Now, we are a premium brand, so we're not the Weekend Warrior type product where, you're going to find a similar product of ours at Walmart, or, it's not that level. It's a higher level.
Indeed.
We like to think that we're, approaching the quality of the high-end European companies, but not at their price. Just kind of go back up a little bit to some numbers. When I started in the industry in 1999, the average margin for dealers was 29%. Now it's approaching 40 to 50%. So when you see like Black Friday roll around or Memorial Day, and you see these monstrous discounts, 40%, 50% off, well, those companies and the manufacturers are still making money. So it just shows you how much of a markup they have to be able to give a discount of that level and still make money.
Yeah.
It just shows you the consumer, unfortunately, is getting ripped off when they buy optics at retail because the pricing is just insane.
Yeah, 30% is, as Tim had said, there is pretty par for the course, and in a lot of businesses, that's your goal is to make a 30% profit on whatever you're buying out there. Now, John, how did you get into? I know you didn't just sort of appear out of whole cloth at Nikon, but what was your background? Where you grew up? I can hear from the accent you're a New Yorker.
So that should be a good clue to what the logo is. So I actually grew up within the 5 boroughs of New York City. I grew up right on the border of Brooklyn and Queens, and a lot of people will say to me, well, how can you be a hunter or a shooter, living in the city? I went to high school and college in Manhattan, and the answer to that is my grandfather came here from Italy in the very early 1900s, and he was a hunter. And when he came here, he settled in Brooklyn, and he had no place to hunt in Brooklyn, so he bought property in upstate New York. And my father and my uncle learned to hunt upstate New York. And, as my father got older and started a family, he bought property upstate. And I was basically a city boy Monday through Friday and a country boy Saturday and Sunday. So I'm a very blessed individual that has, the ability to have experienced both, because most people don't. You're either one or the other, right? So fortunately, I continue that. And, my son hunts today. So we're 4 generations of LaCourts.
Good for you.
Are hunters and shooters. Yeah. Something that we're very proud of. And it doesn't matter where you come from. If you have an interest in a sport, there's no reason why you can't find a way to do it.
Very good. Now, Jay Delta there says his wife grew up in Brooklyn, Williamsburg. Did you grow up in Williamsburg or Greenpoint?
Oh, okay. Williamsburg, Greenpoint, each other. My in-laws still live there.
Awesome. And you're still in the area, like in Long Island, or are you?
I live in Long Island right now. And when I got the job at Nikon in 1999, I was a regional manager for a food company, and just was not happy. My wife, was my girlfriend at the time. She, got the New York Times, brought it to my apartment, and it sat on my coffee table for a couple of days, and just had a bad day at work, came home, picked up the paper, and the first thing that I saw was Nikon marketing hunting. And I about, dropped the paper because, really there's not a lot of hunting related jobs where I live.
That's true.
So, it just happened that I was, a management type person, but still had hunting and shooting background. Most hunters and shooters are really more blue collar guys, not necessarily, marketing management, type people. So I just happened to be in the situation where I had both of those backgrounds. And working for Nikon was a great experience. It was a great company to work for. Unfortunately, they went in a different direction, and, it allowed John and I to open the door and find this opportunity to build a company that we can stand behind. And we're fairly new, but we're going into our 11th year, so we're really not that new. Most people have not heard of us because, like you said, you can't walk into a big box store and touch and feel our products, and that's a challenge. But thankfully, with just the event of Amazon and all this online purchasing, people are very comfortable buying things online, especially if you stand behind them. We have a lifetime warranty. We have a 30-day, no questions asked return policy. So there really is no risk buying online.
That's true. And especially with your very generous and very fair return and warranty policy. And I think that's the big thing that people really appreciate is, do you stand behind your products? And you certainly do. And I can attest personally to the quality of the scopes you guys put out. It is, you hit it on the nose there. It is as good as some of the very bougie European brands that I've looked through, and it's really well built. And I think it's a very fair price that you guys are charging. Now, going back for a second here, when you started working for Nikon, and it's a shame that they canceled themselves because of stupid social media pressure about being shamed into, oh, you guys make products for guns, oh, like that's bad. But that the corporate folks over in Japan were concerned about that. But you were very instrumental before they exited. The corporation chose to exit out of the gun optics market. You're very instrumental in really getting a lot of exposure for Nikon in sporting and outdoors, right?
Yeah, well, I was in charge of all product development from 1999, from the day I started until I left in 2014. I've got, patents that are under my name. They're obviously
that's cool.
Assigned to Nikon. I developed the Nikon BDC reticle. So yeah, there was just, a lot of great things that happened. At one point we had a tremendous presence in outdoor TV. But, again, things change. And, like I said, it was a great company to work for. They made great products, but we decided to go in a direction a little bit different in that our entry level is kind of where Nikon's high end was. Their high end was the Monarch rifle scope.
Yeah.
And our Response rifle scope, which is our entry level, is basically that same quality of scope made in the same factory. So our Toric line is basically a complete step up optically, mechanically. And that's why we're kind of in that gap between, the high volume products of those big brands, $300 and below. We're in between there and where the European entry level products fall.
Yeah, that's where you have way more money than sense, right? In terms of when you're spending multiple thousands of dollars for an optic. Now, I got to ask you, where does the name come from? Where did you get Tract from?
To be honest with you, we're just our group was just trying to come up with names that we thought sounded cool, sounded different. We really liked the T logo. Kind of was just designed before the word, and quite frankly, it was something that was trademarkable. As crazy as that sounds, there's tons of great names out there, but you can't trademark it because it's either used in a certain way, or it might not even be the same category. Like, for example, if it's just something sporting goods related, sometimes you can have a really hard time trademarking it. So, really not a definitive reason behind the name other than we thought it sounded cool, and we liked the way the logo looked and how it looked on the product, and
there we got a comment.
So, we went with
stole
it.
Your logo. And it's an interesting name. So
a lot of people say that.
Yeah, what does Toric mean, or does it mean, or just again another just cool
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, there is a meaning to toric when it comes to lenses, but it really does not pertain to rifle scopes at all. Again, it's just one of those names that we thought sounded cool and different, and again, something that we could trademark.
That is something that people don't really realize, is that when you want to have a trademark on something, you have to basically go with a list of things and submit it to the patent and trademark office, and hopefully, I mean, you can look through their databases, but it's not a complete database. At least that's what they say. Like, I don't know why they can't make it more complete, but then you have to, hopefully they come back and say, yeah, you can, that's available for you, or not. How many names did you guys have as a sort of a backup, or was that your first choice?
No, we went through, if I can recall, again, 11 years ago. It may not sound like that, is that long, but I'm having trouble remembering what I ate for lunch. So it was probably 3 or 4 different names that you kind of were working on, and for whatever reason, things kept getting shot down because of, it doesn't even have to be the same exact name. It could be a variation of the name. If the, examiner feels it's too close, even though the name is different, they won't allow it. So it is a pretty exhaustive process. If for whatever reason, the direction you're going is just very, very competitive as far as words, so, yeah, it's wow, it's a long time to try and remember how many different variations that we.
And I'm sure. And the other part of that is also, like we were talking earlier about your logo, is that you have to submit that separately from the name and hope that their reviewer thinks that your brand is different enough from a similar looking logo in your category. So yeah, there's no guarantees that you may come up with something that looks cool, but as soon as you try to go to the patent and trademark office, they may say, well, sorry, there was this brand 20 years ago that still has may make hot dogs or something. Or actually, it has to be a different industry, or it has to be the same industry for them to kick it off. But yeah, there's, you never know that somebody else may have come up with a logo and a name that's too similar to yours, and they may say, well, you can't do it that way. But yeah, I'm glad that you guys did.
In a part of that whole process, if I recall, is you have to show like the logo, you have to show it being used on a product. Well, you haven't even been granted the trademark, and you're developing product. I mean, thankfully a lot of it's done with computer graphics and whatnot. They want to see packaging, and you haven't really even gotten that far. You want to get the trademark first. But it's just the process, and thankfully it went pretty smooth for us. And that's been the least of the the challenges developing products.
What was the most challenging aspect of starting your company?
Well, the good thing is we had a lot of existing relationships. When I worked at Nikon, I was kind of the person that a lot of our subcontractors would come to. Because their direct contact was Nikon Japan, which they did all of the work with, purchase orders and a lot of the development and design and stuff. But if they had a question as it related to the use of that product for hunting or shooting, the folks in Japan, they just didn't have that ability to answer that. Didn't have the experience, didn't have the knowledge. So those subcontractors would come to me at SHOT Show, and you basically corner me and ask the questions that they couldn't get answers, to from the folks in Japan. And I loved it because they were great people, and those relationships existed for many, many years. So once we, started our own brand, John and I flew to Asia and met with all the subcontractors, and, we had to kind of decide, who did we actually want to work with? Not that there's any subcontractor that we didn't want to work with, but who was going to provide for us the best product, because we were building a product that was different than the products that we sold at Nikon. They were a higher level. So, thankfully, having those existing relationships was really, really helpful. We didn't know if a lot of these companies would work with us,
Mhm.
knowing that we were former Nikon employees. But thankfully, we were able to make it happen. And yeah, it was a tremendous leap of faith, because when we actually left Nikon, we had a 1-year non-compete.
Yeah.
Obviously we were able to do research and development, but we couldn't sell or market any optics. And, during that time, we did a tremendous amount of research and, studying and figuring out what did we want to do and what subcontractors we felt would be our best partners. And, again, we didn't even know if we would be able to develop products with some of the subcontractors that we had relationships with. So, yeah, it was a tremendous leap of faith, honestly.
Well, I'm glad that it worked out, because you guys came out with such a great product. I got a comment here from J Delta. He really likes the color, and that was obviously a choice on your part, right? To have it.
Yeah. So, and I didn't catch who made that comment, but thank you very much, because we're very proud of the color. And the reason that we did that is we wanted to separate ourselves from the sea of black scopes out there, right?
Yeah,
you look at a Cabela's counter, and just 95% of it's all black, right? You've got some, the Vortex razors or a beautiful champagne color. So we wanted to come up with a color that we felt was going to match a lot of the rifles being built. Obviously the market has gotten away from the wood stock blued finish that, I and you probably grew up with.
Yeah.
It's all kind of chassis and Cerakote.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Carbon fiber barrels, carbon fiber stocks, and composite stocks. So the market has changed. We wanted to change with it and come up with something that's going to separate us from the pack, but still look great on virtually any rifle you put it on. So, obviously there's other brands that have very significant, markings. You look at Loophole, they've got that gold ring, right? You could see it's a Loophole scope from a mile away. Well, that's kind of what we wanted to do without copying anybody, and the color was kind of the thing that allowed us to do that.
Yeah, and Tim Mooney also pointed out that you have it's not a glossy finish; it's a more subdued finish.
Yeah, so it's basically matte black. The Toccoa, the Response, the 22 Fires all have that matte black. Years ago, most scopes were gloss; they were shiny. And, a lot of the guns were shiny, bluing and beautiful wood stocks with, a lacquered finish. Well, unfortunately, that's kind of gone away. So, if you look at the majority of the manufacturers, nobody's making gloss scopes anymore. It's just a kind of part of the market it's gone away, so there's people that still ask for it. But if you look at any of the modern rifles being produced, pretty much everything is more of a matte finish these days.
Yeah, unless you're talking about like some very high end over and unders, and you wouldn't buy a scope for that anyway. So
yeah,
yeah. One of the comments that were got back a little bit earlier was concerning, I think, the Response, and one of the questions that was asked was, do the rimfires handle 5.56? So your rimfire scope?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we market the 22 Fire as a rimfire scope. It's built to centerfire standards. So I've got a 3-9x40 22 Fire on a 308, and that was one of the first samples that we actually ever got. So it's been on that rifle for 11 years. I shoot that rifle very often. So yeah, the 22 Fires are marketed as rimfire scopes, but they're built to centerfire specifications. So they absolutely can be used on any centerfire. And really the only difference is that the adjustments are it's a 1/4 inch at 50 yards instead of a 1/4 inch at 100 yards. The 3-9x40 has a 50-yard parallax. The 4-12 has a 75-yard parallax. And then we have a 4-12 with adjustable AO that will dial down to 10 yards. So that's really the only differences is the adjustment value and the parallax setting.
Well, actually that's it's better in many ways to have that finer adjustment value. So that's actually a good point, a feature, not a bug. One question I have actually concerning the build quality of your scopes, are they Springer air gun rated?
Yes, absolutely.
So if there you go for you folks out there who are interested in putting one of these onto your brake barrel, then yeah. And that does that apply to all of your scopes or any specific line of scopes?
All of our scopes are built to the same recoil level. It's 1,000 Gs, and it
Wow.
seems like most of the issues with spring piston air guns is kind of more of the lower priced scopes. I really haven't heard much problems with any of the quality scopes out there. We've got tons of customers using them and haven't had any issues.
That's good to hear. One other question I have personally is just curious. I was looking through all of your scope line, and I noticed that there was one, I forget which model it was, still has an objective focus on it, and it's becoming rarer and rarer for me to see one nowadays. And I'm just curious as why you kept that, or what was the reasoning behind that?
So that's the rimfire. That's the 4-12 rimfire. And honestly, it's less expensive to produce an adjustable objective than a side focus parallax. So everything else other than the rimfire has a side focus. The rimfire, because again, we're trying to keep that price, relatively low in relation to, the cost of the firearm. So unless you're shooting precision rimfire, then the adjustable objective does the same job. It's just a little more cumbersome to kind of reach up and adjust it while you're in a shooting position, but it does keep the cost lower for that rimfire model.
Oh, I appreciate that. So for everybody out there that they're really thinking about us in terms of, I know that their Tract scopes aren't the cheapest scopes out there. They're not your they're not your CV Life or Monstrum scopes by any stretch, but they are still very cognizant of the fact that we as shooters, as buyers, want the best value for money. And so I appreciate that, John, that you guys thought about for the rimfire guys. We're not used to, or at least a lot of rimfire guys, except for the guys who have like their Voodoos or whatever, aren't used to spending a lot of money to go out and shoot our 1022 or what have you. And having a scope that with an objective focus, keeping it the cost down, is really looking out for all of us. So I appreciate that. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Now, before we're getting towards the end of the show, and I'm very cognizant that it's getting late on your end of the country. So before we get into closing out the show with the giveaways, you recently came back from the Harrisburg show. Where are we going to expect to see you next? Any competitions or anything that you're planning on going, or any other shows?
So actually, I leave tomorrow morning to go to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's the Eastern Wild Sheep Show.
Cool.
It's a 2-day show. It's a really cool organization. It does a lot to support the conservation of wild sheep, and it's a local chapter. They're very close to our warehouse, so we support them every year. So I'll be there. I leave tomorrow, and the show is Friday, Saturday, and then after that, we don't attend a lot of competitions as a company, just because most of the time guys going to competitions, they're focused on competing, but we try to get to as many consumer shows as possible. We've got quite a few still left out west. We'll be at the NRA show in April. We'll be at all of the Texas Trophy Hunter shows in Texas. Cool. We're doing a bunch of shows up in Canada this year.
Great! Yeah, we have some fans out here who are, but we got Canadian gun right there. Where are you going to be up in the Great White North?
Good question. I know we've got shows in Alberta, in Ontario. I think there's one in British Columbia. So yeah, I don't have the list right in front of me. I don't normally do those shows. But, we usually put out a social media post to kind of tell folks where we're going to be. So yeah, keep an eye on our social media, sign up for our newsletter. We're always kind of sending out, informative posts about, new product developments. Obviously, we've got the new laser range finding binocular. That's
we almost. I don't want to cut out before we talk about that at the very least. So, this is a photo of it, and I haven't used the photo of that. And yeah, you got to let me zoom in on you here. There we go.
Yeah, so this is one of only 3 in existence right now. So, basically, we've been doing a tremendous amount of testing. James Eagleman, Barber Creek Shooting School, has been very instrumental. We're utilizing his software, Eagle Ballistics. He's been testing it for months now and having really great success with it. He's using it up against a lot of the competitive brands. So we see what's working and, what do we need to improve on in next generations. And thankfully it's providing an incredibly accurate ballistic solution.
Awesome. And just for everybody to know, this isn't just a laser rangefinder inside a binocular. It connects, is it via Bluetooth to the app, and basically it's like having a trained spotter next to you telling you what you need to dial in for your dope. It's great.
So basically once you connect it via Bluetooth to your phone and the Eagle Ballistic app, all you have to do at that point is enter your gun profiles in the app and then sync it to the laser rangefinding binocular. And then you have a complete ballistic solution here. So you've got environmental sensors already built in. The ballistics are already built in. You have a fully customizable heads-up display. So you can actually allow yourself to see all of the various ballistic atmospheric information, your wind information, but you could also select or deselect whatever you want to see or don't want to see. So you can make that viewfinder as complex or simple as possible. And the wind correction, direction, and speed is in your viewfinder at all times.
Now, where's it pulling that information from? Is it syncing up with another I forgot the name of the device that
like Kestrel, and it doesn't sync to the Kestrel. The Kestrel will sync to the app, and so will I forgot the other name, Calypso. Those will sync to the app, but you have to manually enter the wind direction and speed, and it's real simple because the buttons are right on the outside of the unit, and that is already visible in your display. So with other rangefinding binoculars, you actually have to get out of your main heads-up display in order to go and make those changes. With this, it's already visibly there, so you don't have to do anything other than enter that information on the fly. It has something called relative wind. So if you set the wind at, let's say, 12 o'clock, and then you move and range something at 9 o'clock, the internal compass realizes that you've changed position, and now it tells you that what direction the wind is.
Oh, that's slick.
That way. And the cool thing is it automatically changes your wind correction value based upon that wind speed that you have entered. So that's something we're calling variable wind. It's got 5 different reticle options. So sometimes when you're ranging a target, the reticle is either too big or too small. You're going to have a circle, an oval, a cross, a 2-minute dot, and a 1-minute dot. So you can almost customize the reticle for what target you're actually shooting at. It's got the ability to actually adjust the laser itself. Sometimes you're ranging a target and it's not giving you the right distance because the laser and your reticle are not in line. This almost allows you to sight in the laser beam to the reticle so you're actually hitting what you're aiming at.
Yeah, and that's important for a lot of folks who are thinking they're maybe used to shooting a pretty large plate or a target from a more reasonable distance, but some of that when you're doing competition, that plate or that bullseye may be one or two MOA by itself from that distance. So having a reticle that you can change, maybe the difference between being able to see the center of your target or not seeing your target at all and having to guess. So that is a definite plus, having those features. J Delta posted up. When do you think that this is going to be available, or you're going to be releasing?
Yeah,
this?
The information is going to go live on our website on March 5th. We're going to start accepting pre-orders on March 10th, and we're looking at a ship date of around the middle of April to customers. So, yeah, we're really close and excited about that because, again, this has been over 3 years in the making. So, yeah, March 5th, you'll start to see information. You could go right now. You can actually go to the website and sign up for, to kind of be one of the first to kind of get that info. And, yeah, just a couple weeks away.
Excellent. All right. So, everybody definitely check out Tract Optics. I was going to ask if you would type it on the side, but I should be doing that. TractOptics.com. Yeah. And I will just post it right here. And by the way, nice new website by the design overall, I got to say.
Thank you.
I'm just posting it right there. So let's get into, let's close things out tonight with our contest. For those of you who haven't gotten your entries into the side chat, here's your final clue. This New York team has the most rival teams in the major leagues, including the LA Dodgers, New York Mets, Boston Red Sox, and the San Francisco Giants. And there is their uniform logo. So I only pity you if you don't know this team based off of this. You must really don't not like baseball at all. So if you know who this team is, put a hashtag and their name in the side chat right now, and you'll be entered into the drawing that we're going to have in just a few seconds for the Tract Optics lens pen kit. So Jeff Taylor, make sure that you put hashtag. I just need the name of the team, just a one-word name, and got to put the hashtag symbol in front of it for it to register. So just put and make sure you have the hashtag in front of the name so that otherwise the software is not going to pick it up. Jeff, you got to just put the name of the team, not the city. It's just a one-word name. It has to be, unfortunately, it has to be written. It doesn't have to be capitalized, but it has to be written in a specific way for the software to pick it up. If you put any other words in front of it, the software isn't going to pick you up. So, all right. So we've got. Let me just bring up the screen for the giveaway, and that is our giveaway tool here. And make sure you don't have a space in front of it, so that just in case. I'm pretty sure it will take it, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sure if you put a space in front of the hashtag, if it will not pick it up or not. So make sure that you have the, basically type it in exactly as you're seeing it right there, and you'll be entered into the contest. What we'll also do is, I'll give you guys a couple of seconds to do that. And in the meantime, let me just mention that we have two contests that are going on my website right now. So there's only a few more days to enter the contest, but here's the URL to enter the contest. The prize this month, I've got two different contests going on, and you can find it there at moondogindustries.com/contest. The first contest prize is being given out by Vector Optics, a Chinese optics maker, but they're giving out one of their Continental scopes, which has a German shot glass, even though it's made in China. It uses German glass. Really nice LPVO for fiber optic. If you like a fiber optic LPVO, they're giving one away. And the other prize is from Olight, and they're giving away one of their Arc Pro lights, which I'm testing out right now. Great EDC light, super bright, has a green laser, has both flood and a long distance beam on this. Goes up to 300 yards, so plus. So it's really a great EDC light. They're giving away that at the end of this month. So get your entries in for the contest on my website. And of course, you can go to my website, and you can also buy a couple of the items that I've reviewed in the past as part of a fundraiser for my son's middle school trip to Washington, D.C. this spring. the whole class is going, and we are raising money for some of the students, but also for the teachers. So we pay for the check-in luggage to DC. So we're covering their check-in, their baggage fees. So enter the contest and or enter the fundraiser to help out the school there. All right, so let's bring this back up to the stage here. All right, we're going to do the drawing, and I'm going to, John, give me a countdown, and I'll hit the button.
3, 2, 1.
All right, and let's see who wins the Tract Optics lens pen kit. And it's going to be Porsche Speedster. Congratulations. All right, so what I'll do, if you wouldn't mind, I'm pretty sure you've won a couple of, but do me a favor, email me at contest@moondogindustries.com. Just remind me, and I will forward and put your mail to information so I can forward it on to John, and he will send you your lens kit. So congratulations, Porsche Speedster, on winning the prize today. And John, thank you so much for taking the time this evening to join us and tell us about your new product. What's the name of the new scope, by the way, the new binoculars?
It's just a toric 10x42 with Eagle ballistics.
All right, so be on the lookout for that amazing. I mean, just the sheer amount of things that you can do with it and that they can do for you is I can't even get my head around a lot of the features. It just sounds so super cool. So I'm really looking forward to being able to test that later this year. And I wish you great success.
Thank you.
And thanks everybody out there on the side chat for joining us tonight. I hope you get a chance to check out Tract Optics. And don't be afraid. Like you said, you have 30 days if you're not satisfied with any of their scopes, and they've got everything from really the tippy top to more reasonably priced rimfire scopes. So and as John said, it is even they're 1,000 Gs. That's a lot of recoil. So these things are great scopes, great optics, really well done. Thank you, sir, for joining us, and thanks everybody. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button before this video ends. Anyway, thanks again, John. Everybody, you have a good night. Everybody. God bless. Moondog and John out. Hey, I'd like to know what you thought of this video. Leave me a comment or chat with me on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, MeWe, Instagram, or Locals. And if you want to see all of my videos, go to moondogindustries.com.